Absolutely no cues or no major cues in a week which is punctuated with very heavy results flow. So it'll be interesting to see how the day shapes up or the week shapes up as well. Welcome to the trade setup. I'm Neeraj Shah. And the US markets were listless. The futures are listless as well. There's hardly any cues there to take from in a day which was also a very low volume day in the US markets, both for the equity markets as well as for the treasuries. So that's the long and short of what happened there. Asia's kind of started in the same fashion. The other cues, if you look at the 10-year yield or the dollar index, etc., it's kind of stayed largely in the same fashion. So no great shakes there, if you will. You could argue that the weakness in the dollar index might augur well for metals, but that's about it. The SGX Nifty should be a flat start. I'll be really surprised if we have anything else up our story, up about 0.13%, but nothing to write home about when it comes to cues this morning for our markets. Now, remember, it's a big day from a results perspective. Globally, firstly, there is Alphabet, there is Microsoft, there is Visa, GM, McDonald's, which was at 52-week high yesterday, Pepsi, Spotify, ABB, UBS, 3M, Dow. So a clutch of very important numbers today, and therefore the US markets have the likelihood of having a large directional move, maybe. I mean, if not directional, at least a large move today, and therefore that should be watched out for. Yeah, directional might be difficult because during the week we also have the likes of Amazon and Meta and some of the others coming out. So maybe not a directional move, but a large move certainly in store, possibility in store today. So that is to be kept in mind if you're trading from an overnight perspective on the index. On specific stocks, it's separate. So the trade setup for the day, I mean, the index traded higher on Monday as anticipated. We spoke about this yesterday, that there are individual stocks which will lend that support to the index today, but a breakout move is still not visible. The interesting thing is the nature of the players are changing. So yeah, FMCG basket is now starting to witness good buying interest, and the FMCG index itself too has some fairly positive setups if you look at the technical parameters. In fact, from what I read, two or three of the technical experts have said that the individual FMCG names there are a bunch of trading calls coming in there, and I'll talk about some of the stocks at 52-week highs which also have that list. PSU banks is the other one, which continues to shine with strong gains. Yesterday was a case in point, and very bullish technical factors at play. So that is to be also kept in mind that it's not, I mean, there are some very interesting and different baskets which are coming to the fore. Left to me, if you ask me, the risk reward is certainly not in favor of a leverage long on the index per se. And which is why maybe we're seeing any kind of upside getting capped. Maybe today is 2, yesterday 0.7%. We'll probably see that being capped as well. But can individual stocks do the trick? Maybe they can. Today, I mean, from a results perspective, it's not a very heavy day. There is Nestle, Bajaj Auto, and Tata Consumer, but nowhere close to the weightage on the index that you would want to see. But a clutch of, I mean, they're important names, Tata Consumer and Nestle, amongst the first of the block when it comes to the FMCG space, and therefore that will be important. We'll hear from AU Bank, and it's had a spectacular move in the last few days because of the management continuity. But there was also a BQ exclusive which spoke about how the RBI has asked the bank to slow down, and therefore we've seen a bit of a corrective move to Persistent came out with numbers, and I'll talk about that in a moment. There is Nippon India and HDFC AMC to talk about what the AMC space has gone through. Again, not market moving in that sense, but an important set of numbers for sure. Now, stocks to watch. Firstly, the list of 52-week highs is very interesting, right? You're seeing a Bajaj Auto a day on the ahead of numbers at 52-week highs. There is Cyient, which is post numbers clocked in 52-week highs. GCPL and Zydus Life again, and as well as Glenmark Pharma showing the value stocks coming to the fore in pharma and FMCG and hitting 52-week highs. I mean, Railway Vikas Nigam Limited is a separate case in point. It's actually had a really good move in the recent past as well. Otherwise, you're seeing a short tinge of value stocks being preferred by the market at large. I mean, picture this. KPIT was the talk of town at 900 over 2 or 3 months ago when it hit those 900 levels. And since then, it's an expensive stock. Since then, Cyient, which was nowhere in conversation, um, was at the same price. Now Cyient is at 1200 KPI, is at 850. So that's the point I'm making. Some of the value stocks have really come up and taken center stage, which is a pretty interesting thing. Okay, so what are the stocks to watch in the session today? I mean, it's all this stuff that we've spoken about, actionable information. I don't know if persistent is actionable. The numbers were spot on in line with estimates, like really close there. 2254 was the revenue number posted. The estimates were 2253.57. EBIT up 4%, 346 crores versus 333 crores. EBIT margin at 15.37 versus 15.35. The expectation was 15.4%. PAT up 5.7% at 251. The expectations for 268. You could argue that relative to the estimates, maybe the PAT numbers are a bit lower. But remember, the CEO had guided for higher profit numbers over FY24 to 26 just last quarter. So people will see this as a bit of an anomaly. And left to itself, a 4% revenue growth is not technically not that bad. So, interesting set of numbers. I know it is not a cheap stock, but it's not cheap for a reason. It's delivering growth. I think last quarter itself, they've said that they will be in the top quartile or amongst the top performing companies, even in FY24. So there is a bit of a how do I say, positivity to persistence numbers almost every single quarter. It usually tends to be the first amongst equals in the recent past. They've guided to margin improvement as well. So there is a tailwind to persistence. So I think these numbers being largely in line will not evoke a massive reaction to my mind at least. Then there is IFL Securities, wherein the higher other expenses led to a tepid growth in profits. The revenues were up 16%. EBITDA margin at 37.8 versus 36.1. The PAT was up just 9.4%. As I said, higher other expenses led to that. Stock is trading at a TTM of 7 times, which is 17% above the 52-week lows. Just there, the 52-week high is nearly double the current market price. These stocks have become single-digit P stocks, as Pratik Agarwal was talking about yesterday, broking stocks. And not everybody is showing growth, which is why the industry has been a bit measured, which is why angel broking, which is arguably the fastest growing company, is nearly 35 to 40% off from its 52-week highs. The valuation multiples have just completely contracted in this space. Even the customer acquired, by the way, for IFL Securities is the lowest since Q1 FY21, 49,000 odd. So ho-hum kind of a quarter really for this one. What did well was Nelco. Revenues were up 14.35%, EBITDA 25.48%, EBITDA margin at 32.74 versus 29.84, net profit up 87%. It delivered on almost all counts, so it could be an interesting one to monitor. That is Nelco. The other one to keep in mind, and I've not projected it out here, is Century Textiles. If you just look at the numbers on an overall basis, except for a uptick, except for an individual uptick that Century Textiles showed in its profit number, the revenues were down or flattish. EBITDA was down 3%, EBITDA margin very flat. The company got a net gain of 134 crores as an exceptional item, as a result of which the profit after tax went up 68%. But it was due to a one-off, so please bear that in mind. Similarly, in Mahindra Logistics, revenues were up 16%. EBIT margin was higher. EBITDA was up as well, relative estimates flattish. But the net profit was down because of one-offs. 97% contraction in net profits because of one-offs. So those two are not quite brought out here, but just keep in mind that one-offs kind of impacted the positivity in Century Textiles and the negativity in Mahindra Logistics. Then the stock of the day, to my mind, could be Unichem Labs, right? So IPCA will acquire about 33.38% stake in Unichem for a cash consideration of 1034 crores, which is another US generic M&A from an Indian player. The ratio indicates a difference of 13% between the acquisition price and the current price of Unichem Labs. So expect a bit of a reaction maybe in Unichem Labs today. Then anything else? Well, Infosys signed a deal with Aramco, no less. to enhance the behemoth's HR platform, but the financial details obviously are not revealed. Mahindra Lifespace has been selected as a preferred bidder or preferred partner to redevelop a residential society in Malad West under project of 850 crores. Malad West is in Mumbai, by the way, and it's an 850 crore redevelopment project. So that is interesting. And Wellspun India is going to consider a share buyback on April 27th. So maybe that could be a mover, who knows. So these are a few things to watch out for from a non-results perspective. But I think the larger impetus is on companies which come out with numbers today. So packed day per se, even if there are not heavyweights, and frankly, as a lot of experts tell me, this year don't look at the Nifty, try and save money, but enough money to be made in mid caps and small caps of the non-Nifty names. So try and focus on that area. Uh, so that's the long and short of the trade setup today. Important day of conversations. Yeah, for the first time that we are speaking to him, and probably for the first time that he's speaking to media, Jiten Doshi, co-founder and CIO of Enam AMC, is on Talking Point at 10 a.m. today. So that's an almost unmissable conversation. It's a heritage firm with a lot of history, a lot of methodology. Very lovely to understand from Jiten Doshi about how he thinks about the current uh, landscape and what do they do when it comes to investing advice. So that promises to be a good conversation. You might want to tune in for that. And then the usual trade talk conversations lined up during the day, which will help you navigate the day trading strategies if you have some. Thanks so much for tuning in, viewers, to the trade setup. Have a great day ahead, and see you with Talking Point.